Supernatural Season 14, Episode 10, Nihilism. So this is definitely a fun episode. It was really cool getting to see the characters having to, of course, come back, this being the mid-season premiere. They come back into the fold and it's like, all right, well, what the heck happens after, basically, the Michael slash Thanos snap that happens at the end. And it was a good episode. They pretty much capture him super quick. So it was like, all right, well, he's been captured. And ultimately, by the end of the episode, he's been locked away inside of Dean himself being the cage, which I thought was a really great concept, but also surprising because I was like, oh, okay. I mentioned during the mid-season finale, I was like, admittedly, I would be totally fine if, Dean was being controlled by Michael up until the end of the season. And that's clearly not going to be the case. He might break out for a little bit. Who knows what the F is going to happen now? I mean, something happened. Where it's like, Dean now knows exactly what he needs to do, and we kind of just have to wait and see how it all unfolds. But I like the way it was handled. It was definitely fun. They did a couple of flashbacks where it's like, oh, this is what happened with Sam. So, they're classic flashbacks so you can guess what's going to happen. And so, of course, Dean is going through this flashback where, he owns a bar. I totally forgot the woman's name, but I was surprised that she was the one that was in there. And I was like, well, that's actually kind of cool. Because when they showed the flashback of when she died, I was like, holy crap, she did die super early. Like, for some reason, I thought it was way later, but obviously they look so young in the flashback. I was like, holy crap, that was definitely early on. It was just much earlier than I was really thinking. So it was cool that they brought her back. I don't know why, but it was just like, it's always cool when they do that whenever they get a chance to just bring somebody else back. So that was definitely a cool little thing. They're going through the flashback or going through this, false memory over and over again. And of course, they end up capturing Michael, so they end up taking him back to the bunker, which ends up being Billy's doing because I guess she wants to save the world. Like, it's kind of hard to tell. Like, so a couple of things happen in this where it was like, I didn't see that one coming. So she ends up saving them, which is what we find out at the end. And like I said, I would assume it has to do with the fact that everyone would be destroyed. She would have nothing to do, or just, there would be nothing anymore unless they do this one thing, which is like the final book. So that's why she ends up saving them at the end, because it would be like, well, there's no job if there's no people left, and I'm just going to kind of be bored. There's not going to be any planet in any way, shape, or form. So that's why she ends up saving them. And we also find out later in the episode that Michael's plan was basically to destroy every planet until he can catch up to God, which I thought was the coolest thing ever, because I was like, that would explain the multiple universes. It's kind of just like, all right, well, I made this Earth and these planets and stuff in this version. Didn't really work out too well, so I'll just scoot that over, boom, I'll start over again. And so that's why we have, multiple dimensions and stuff. And it makes sense. I hadn't really considered it, in that form where it's like, God is over, the multiverse and stuff. And I was like, that totally makes sense. And it's just like, that's why there are other dimensions, because he just keeps restarting. It's like, we're just a bunch of rough drafts. And, God, or Chuck being a writer, is constantly pumping out rough drafts until he finally gets it perfect. And my planet was a draft, your planet's a draft, and I'm going to wipe out pretty much all the planets until I'm able to catch up to him. That's a much slower version of just being able to go from planet to planet until he catches them, because we don't really know where Chuck and Amara went. So it's one of those things where it's like, that could be what happened. Like, they took off together, but it's possible that they took off to make another universe. So it's funny to kind of think that, because I was like, well, they just left and did something, who the F knows, some cosmic thing. And I was like, well, maybe they went and made a universe, as brother and sister, that sort of thing. So I thought it was really cool. It was like, he wants to go through, and basically he was just mad, like his planet wasn't good enough, so now he wants to destroy everybody's planet. So it's still a dick move. But his plan is to go through and either catch up to God or kind of get God's attention at some point and just kind of solve the problem that way and kill God. So I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. I like that idea. It's definitely entertaining. And of course, they end up putting them, in the little machine. So you got Sam and Dean across from each other, and then Cass kind of jumps into Dean's head with Sam. And so they have to sift through the memories. Then Sam realizes, like, well, he wouldn't keep him trapped inside of a crappy memory, because that keeps him going. That's what kind of fuels Dean. So he'd keep him kind of lulled. He wouldn't be alert. He'd keep him in something nice. So they find that memory. Then they start getting, jumping around inside the memory as it, it starts to bounce around in front of them. Then they start revealing stuff to Dean, and he hits him with the Poughkeepsie, and then everything comes in. And so, they have to deal with Michael, and he beats the crap out of them for a minute. He's just dodging punches, and like, he pushed Sam, and I was like, are they sure he doesn't have the same level of strength? Like, are you sure it's equal footing? Because he pushed him across the room. I'm like, I can't, it doesn't matter how good a counter is. You can't just be like, boom, and just shove somebody all the way across the room. But it was cool to watch. I was like, he's just beating the crap out of them. And then eventually they're able to figure it out, and they lock him inside of the freezer. And Dean's like, I'll be the cage. It's my brain, so it's my rules. So he'll be trapped inside this little room, and I'll take control of my body again. But Michael is still in there. Like, he's still in there, kind of messing with him and trying to get out. So he has to focus to keep him sealed. So I thought that was great. I thought that was a very cool concept, and it just makes sense that it'll go wrong, but we'll see what happens. So that should be fun. And then, of course, the crazy ending where Billy shows up and it's like, yep, every book is Michael escaping and using you to destroy the entire planet, except for this one. And naturally, they don't show us what the answer is, because that will spoil the entire end of the season. And I'm sure no one else is gonna find out either, because even based on the promo, it's like ever since we got Dean back, he's been acting weird, and like he hugged me and stuff. So it's this weird concept of like sacrifice, and he seems to be working on something. With it being a trailer, you never know what is or is not actually a part of like the main story. So they do have a scene where it looks like he's working on something, and then they show Sam doing something with like a demon's trap. I was like, okay, that could have something to do with the main plan. It could be something else. And then they tied that scene and they cut to potentially Lucifer, but it could just be Nick. And it's like, who the F knows, because it's been a minute since we've seen the Nick storyline. But they could technically do it in flashbacks if we see that Lucifer has escaped and he's in Nick's body. But either way, he's going insane. But it's also like, why did he go to Mary? So lots of questions come up as to what is going on there. But I'm looking forward to it, because I mentioned like that has been one of my favorite parts of the season, which I wasn't expecting, like the crazy fact that he survived. And then it was like, well, that seemed weird, but now I don't care, because the story's been so entertaining watching him go crazy. And it's like he doesn't want to feel the pain of actually killing people, so he wants Lucifer to come back, and Lucifer is strong enough to have heard his prayers in the darkness or in the empty. So I don't know what that means. I doubt he'll officially be back. I think it'll still just be Nick in the next episode, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. I will note that much like this review, my next review is going to be super late. I don't know if it'll even be over the weekend, because this weekend Resident Evil 2 comes out, for anyone who's a gamer out there. So that's like my big thing that comes out. The place I'm going to in my GameStop, they're doing like a 9 p.m. release. So I'm going to be there in line already before it even comes out. So I won't be watching the episode for a minute, to be totally honest. So I'm not sure when my next review will come up. I'll try to, it'll be before the episode after next. But the next episode I won't be seeing until like maybe Sunday night. Maybe I'll take a break while I'm editing. I'll edit and then I'll watch the episode, and then I'll do my next review. But definitely won't be on Thursday night, and it certainly won't be on Friday, because I'm going to spend like the whole day playing and editing. But maybe on Friday while I'm editing, I'll watch the episode. But all in all, really enjoyed this one. Can't wait for the next one. Nick is coming back. We're going to see the beginning of Dean's big plan, where he's working on something. Probably give us a lot of speculation fuel going into the rest of the season. So I'm looking forward to that. But all in all, it was fun. I still want to see what happens as far as Michael escaping and seeing more of the angel version of Dean, because this was technically not even a full episode of it. So I'm like, all right, well, we were promised some more Angel Dean than we were given Demon Dean. And I think I mentioned that it was technically one less episode up until, this episode. So now it's like kind of technically fully caught up, because he didn't, get trapped until the very end. But it's just like, yeah. So if he gets out, then that's supposed to be the end of the world in every version. So how are we supposed to get more Michael, more Angel Dean, if that's the end of the world? So there's got to be something there, and we'll see what ends up happening. We have our 300th episode coming up next month. I think we're still like a full month out, because I think it might be like, I think it's the 17th or something. So we're like just under a month out. So I'm looking forward to that. Of course, John Winchester making his return. I'm still super curious how that's going to be. I haven't looked anything up, because I don't want to know. But I'm like, how are they going to bring him back and explain? I was talking to my friend about it, actually. I was like, what are they going to do? Say he's like an old ghost or something? Like just how he looks so different. So I'm very curious how that's going to work. And, maybe they go to heaven and stuff, and he's, he technically ages in heaven. And it's like, I just wanted to naturally get older as my kids got older, something like that. And I think it would work. But I'm curious. I'm curious how in the world that is supposed to be playing out in the 300th episode. But either way, looking forward to that. Looking forward to the very next episode. Naturally, want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts. Obviously, the big question is, what are your theories on what's in that book? How are they supposed to save the world and defeat Michael? who do they need to help? Is it going to be Lucifer? That's like the big thing. Like, he's got to come back and beat Michael. I think I mentioned that before, where it would be like Lucifer would come back and help them fight against the Empty. Maybe they have to team up with the Empty to defeat Michael. Like, there's a bunch of weird possibilities, and of course they have the stuff going on with with Cass, where the Empty was like, all right, I'm gonna come for you when you're happy and stuff, and he didn't want to reveal that, so that has to get revealed because that's an emotional beat. So there's still some questions up in the air, and naturally, with Jack, he does use his power in this episode, which is cool, but it burns off his soul, so that's gonna be a big question that comes up. Like, I didn't know he had those powers back either. So that's gonna have to come up in the next episode, I would assume, because it was a fairly decent surprise for some of the characters. So I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, we'd love to know your predictions on what was in that book, what Dean is planning, or what he needs to do in order to make things work. But it's still him dying at the end, and that's the thing with the book. It's like all the books are how they die. So it's either him going into it as a sacrifice, which is supernatural, so I don't know how much weight that carries, or it's him going into it knowing it's meant to be a sacrifice, so then he's like, I pull the old switcheroo, and then I don't die. So who knows if that'll, if that's how it'll work or what. But like I said, definitely want to know your predictions. And of course, what you guys thought about the episode in general. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.